Well, thank you all for coming. And again, like Ken said, bring someone next time. Today we've got a great speaker. Started out as see, I'm setting the bar for him. Started out as an accountant and realized he had the entrepreneurial spirit inside of him, and went from accounting and numbers to what you'll see as the story of Adventure Golf, as well as multiple other companies, including Med Audit, and I'm sure a slew more that he'll tell us about. But serial entrepreneur, very accomplished and successful member of the Midland community here. Very happy to have Mr. Ted Lunt.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. What I'd like to do today, if it's okay, and I'd like to just keep it open. I do this talk about a couple times a year for Northwood, for Jim Hoff, who runs the entrepreneurial program over there, and so he always has me come over and talk to the senior class, and I just sort of go through what I've done and how I did it, and some of the stories. He always gives me the lecture before I come in, though. He said, "Now you're not here to teach entrepreneurship." He said, "That's my job." He said, "I just want you to tell what you did," which is fine with me, because I didn't take classes in entrepreneurship or anything like that. I just sort of got rolling in this business way back in 1982 after a great career in accounting. So, and with that, if anybody has any questions as I go, if I say something you don't understand or something stupid, raise your hand or just holler. I'd like to keep it like that, and we can just kind of walk my way through it. So Chris is going to be my clicker guy back there, so if you see me waving at him, that's what it's all about. These are all the businesses I'm currently involved in. The Pirates Cove Adventure Golf, which is primarily what I'll tell you about today, we have 26 different locations, and you can see all those different states. And so all those different golf courses, each one is a separate corporation. And we did this not by design, but by financing arrangements, because when we started this, we had no idea we were going to continue once we got rolling. And so we built the first one, a partner and I, and we built the one in Traverse City, if you're familiar with it. Has anybody ever been on our courses or seen them? Oh, great. So Traverse City was the first one we built way back in 1982, and I'll talk a bit about that a little bit more. But in regard to financing, when we got down with Traverse City, we didn't have any money left. We borrowed and stole everything we could, built that course, borrowed everything we could, and then all of a sudden the second year came up, and we said, we got to do this again. It works. So we went out and found some investors. That was primarily my job, find some investors to build one in Petoskey, to build one out of Cape Cod, and then the next year, the same thing. So they each became a separate corporation, even though some of the shareholders are invested in quite a few of them. Other than that, in addition to the golf courses, the little brackets behind is how many courses we have in each of those states. We have a couple other businesses. We have a Comfort Inn in North Conway, New Hampshire. That's up in the White Mountains. If you ever get up there, that's gorgeous. An American Motel in Traverse City, Michigan. We have Dairy Queen, Little Caesars, gift shop out at Cape Cod, 15 Burger Kings in Lexington, Kentucky, and Med Audit. I have been in some other businesses in and out. Some of them didn't work. I mean, that's how it goes, I guess. So, if here's just a map of where we're located. Kind of gives you an eye view of. There's only one missing on that, and that's in Rapid City, South Dakota. And as you can see, this is pretty much vacation lands for different areas of the United States. Down in Missouri, it'd be Branson, people vacation. Down in Arkansas, there's hot springs, and Florida's natural, and up in the northeast. That's how we chose locations to look at and consider building, and Rapid City was one of them, but the map would allow us to squeeze it on there. Here's where we started, Traverse City, 1983. We were really scrimping, and we didn't have enough money to build a brand new little starter house for our concept. So there were little dumpy motel buildings. Remember how they used to do that? 4 or 5 buildings or 10 buildings. We took one of those and stripped it down and cleaned it up a little, and that's where our first house started with, way back in '83. This is what it looks like today. We've obviously, actually, the original building's under there, but we jazzed it up quite a bit to make it look a little bit more nautical or whatever you want, a little more modern. And I got just a couple of shots here of our courses. Some of those that haven't been on or seen them, that's typical waterfall. There's a cave underneath that waterfall and a hole under there. Same thing. This is still Traverse City, what it looks like today. So this thing is gone for 30 years. And when we first built them, my accounting background said, if we get 12 years out of these and then sell the property, we could do okay. The golf course should pay for the property, then after 12 years, we'll turn it over and sell it. But things got rolling so well that we're still in the business. A story that goes along with some of what went on when we first built Traverse City, and things I like to tell in entrepreneur classes, things you don't plan for. And one of them was a simple thing like we ordered barrels. We wanted barrels such as these, real wooden barrels on the golf course. We could use them as trash barrels, and they were very authentic, like they came off an old pirate ship or something like that. And we could use them as props, which we've done here. But little did we know, in the middle of when we were getting towards the end of the construction, and these things came in on a big flatbed truck. The crew unloaded them that day, and everybody went about their business. And the next morning we came, and only half the crew was there. We started asking, where are the guys? And they said, well, half of them were in jail. I said, well, what are you talking about? And he said, well, when they were unloading those barrels, and they actually came from Jack Daniel's distillery back, he said, they could hear a little juice in those things. He said, these guys are big, strapping construction guys. He said, so they all meet back here tonight at 9 o'clock, and they did. They went back and they brought jars and they poured whiskey, and they got bombed. And the worst part was the best guy we had that sprayed concrete to make our waterfalls and that, and he was from, I don't remember where he was from, but the judge wouldn't let him out. He went down to talk about bailing these guys out. He said, no, he's got quite a record. So we ended up having to vouch for this guy, but we really needed this talent to spray gunite and make waterfalls. And I lost track of them. We kept track of them quite a few years, but we had to write a letter to the court and say we'd be responsible for this guy. And you know, we'd do anything back then. That was the first course, and we were anxious to get it open and get some cash coming the other way. The second year we started and the financing on this was a little easier too, because some people showed up in Traverse City from Chicago and they said, we love what you've done here in Traverse City. We think it'd be successful in Petoskey. And they said, we'll put up the money if you'll build it, and we can make a partnership out of the deal. And so we did, and that's how that financing got going, which is, you know, one of the toughest things to do in building these things. But we decided we could probably save money on the second course, because all that cement work that makes waterfalls and that is done over a corrugated type of sheet metal that has holes in it, so that when the gunite's sprayed on there, it sticks and makes nice looking waterfalls and that. So we said, why couldn't we just use crushed cars? And that'd be cheap. So we went out, we bought about 24 crushed cars, and they shipped them in, and Petoskey, and we had them all standing up there. Well, the town went nuts. There's a stream that goes through Petoskey's course, a natural stream, and everybody there were letters in the paper for days, and saying these guys are polluting the stream, they're polluting the environment, and things like that. We didn't quite know what to do, but there was quite a bit of, I had article after articles on this one. But what we decided to do was say, we got to get rid of these things. People are not happy, and so we did. And it turned out to be a real PR move, because we got this big the opinion from the Petoskey Daily News that we were real nice, responsible citizens. And,
have you used this technique in other states?
No, that is stupid. but we could have set that up as part of the business plan. But anyway, so we got good PR out of it, and people, there were a lot of letters to the editors saying, boy, I'm going to play there. These folks are really, you know, pretty nice guys. Cape Cod, we did the second year too. And that's because I had some relatives that live out on Cape Cod, and went out there, and that cave was so full of people. I just don't know why it doesn't sink. But there's in the summer, if anybody's been to Cape Cod in the summer, it's a fun place to be. It's really full of a lot of energy. People doing things, restaurants and everything like that we built. And this was one of the first couple of years when we were out there. As you can see, the picture's not that clear, but I'll tell you what, there is an awful lot of people on that golf course. I think every single hole has backups. This over here, which is the first hole, you come out of the start house. This first hole, you can see they go all the way back into the building. The second hole, they're backed across the bridge. The third hole, they're backed up. But it was a great problem to have. But immediately, we said, boy, we got to build another 18 holes. And we did. I don't have an aerial photo of that. Or this aerial, some guy just flew over and took it and showed up one day. So would you like to buy some pictures of your course? We did. But after we built that, I mean, that was one other thing that the Cape Cod Commission, which is sort of in charge of all the historical things that go on the East Coast out there, said we don't like this. We don't want miniature golf on Cape Cod. And we spent $36,000 on attorney fees because we said it's permitted use. And eventually we won that case. And then the township came along and they charged us like $30,000 impact fees. Put in an extra lane out in front for the traffic and things like that. So these are expenses that you just don't build into your business plan. You don't expect it, but it worked. This is just a shot of from the top of the mountain. We've since added back on Cape Cod another 18 holes and a gift shop, and it's still one of the most popular places in on Cape Cod. That's just another shot of a typical hole. So those that haven't been on the course, we don't have windmills and things like that move. We just have natural terrain and a lot of possibilities where to get in the water and get in trouble and stuff like that. That's the Cape Cod starter house. You can see we go out by props by the galore, and we just really make these places as nautical as we can get. This course, they've filmed 2 movies on it. Show up from Hollywood or something. A couple of them are horror movies. Our staff stayed down there, and they had people in our pond out front. They made it look like a swamp. I've never seen the movie, but they spent 2 or 3 days there, and we got a lot of food. But people would come down in droves to see it. It's just free. And that's Yankee Magazine, if anybody's familiar with that. That's a very big time New England magazine out there. And this is just free marketing. They wrote us up, I think 2 or 3 times. I just took a shot of that one. Just terrific publicity. Going back to Traverse City, after we had been in Traverse City a couple of years, we got to meet our neighbor, a fellow by the name of Bernie that owned a pizza parlor there. It was Little Caesars, and we used to go over there and say, Bernie, can we buy the property behind the parlor because we need more parking, which is a problem. And he said, no, just use it. He was that kind of a guy. Just use it. You don't need to buy it. So then he came over and said, I'm getting tired. I want to retire. Would you guys like to buy my pizza parlor? And Little Caesars back in the 84 or 5 or 6, they used to be parlors. They weren't takeouts. They were parlors. And they had benches and picnic tables in. Some of you maybe remember that. So, and Bernie had a liquor license in there. So we said, yeah, we really wanted to buy it, not necessarily for the liquor license, but we wanted to buy it because we wanted to control what was our neighbor. And so we said, sure, we'll buy it. So we got through the paperwork, and I had to go to pizza school for 2 weeks in Detroit. That was a trip. I'm a professional pizza maker now, from one of the crummier neighborhoods in Detroit too. Cause I was there at 10 o'clock at night, and I was afraid to go back to the hotel. But because we had the liquor license, and we took ownership July 1st, and we couldn't get our license from the state of Michigan right away. It was just low, terrible that way. But so Bernie said, I'll stay on. I'll use my license, and I'll be like a management company until you get it. It should only take 2 or 3 weeks. So we said, okay, Bernie, we sure appreciate that. So after about a week and a half, I got a call from Bernie, and he said, Ted, can you come up to Traverse City? And I said, sure, Bernie, is everything okay? Well, he said, I got to talk to you. Someplace private. Bernie is not happy running our pizza parlor in July, which is really busy up there. And he probably says, wants to change the deal and give the parlor to us, which we weren't ready for. So I got my partner and I said, meet us in. We had an old motel on the property at the time. So meet us in room 27 and we can talk. So about 3 o'clock that next afternoon, Bernie and his wife were coming across the parking lot. And he said, he's got a big bag under his arm. And he comes in and we make some small talk. And he said, well, what's up, Bernie? And he said, well, listen, he said, I had a problem last week with the federal government. I said, go on. And he said, well, I don't like what they do. When the federal government pisses me off, I fine them. I said, you fine them? He said, sure. He says, okay. So he said, here's the fine. It's yours. He takes his grocery bag and he dumps it on the bed. $20,000, all strapped, and just a pile of money. I said, what do you mean you fine them, Bernie? And he said, well, what I do is I turn off the cash register key at 5 o'clock when I'm mad at the government. Okay. So everything that came in for that time period after 5 p.m., Bernie never reported. He must have been doing this for years. You should see my wife's face when I went home and I said, hey, look at here. I dumped it on our bed. She said, holy smokes. But anyway, Bernie called about a week later. He said, you going to be back up here? I said, I'll be up this afternoon, Bernie. And he fined him a second time. And it was about the same amount of money, so I know you're all wondering if I reported it. You're going to have to wonder. That's just one of my most favorite stories. He was a character, and he had run that pizza parlor. It was just kind of a neat story. Bernie's no longer with us, so I'm not worried about telling the story anymore. He died quite a few years ago. Our golf courses, each hole has a number, like number 11 here, and has a pirate story here. And these are all authentic, which we think contributed to our success. We see a lot of parents coming with kids and reading the little pirate stories and what's going on. And our signs don't last long. Everybody that comes into play, we hand them this weapon and they beat these things to death. But it's really worth it. That's not a very good picture. It's a typical cave within a cave. If you haven't seen them. With the skeletons and treasure chests inside a sub-cave on one of the holes. We usually have sound go with it, so have a couple pirates talking to each other in the cave. It does scare some of the little kids, though. In '86, we built a course on International Drive in Orlando. And if you're familiar with Orlando, that is a terrific market. That was 36 holes. And it cost us an awful lot of money. I was able to raise the money, and I had to talk to a lot of banks though, because got to the banks down in Orlando, and they didn't know who we were, and they hadn't seen our golf courses in the north. But we jumped through a lot of hoops. We finally got someone to finance it, and it's a gorgeous course. It's still there, and of course we're really feeding off all the Disney market and that sort of thing down there. That picture I took, I went down the street towards the end of construction, or this was when we first opened, and there was a helicopter franchise down there. You paid him to go for a ride, and I took the guys in and taking some free passes to Pirates Cove just to fly me down there. And so the guy's out taking the door off the helicopter. So you want good pictures, you don't want the door on here. Put the door on, I'm not going up there. So he took it down, he just tipped that helicopter sideways and flew around that about 3 or 4 times. And I just looked like, and we ended up with a nice photo. Today you wouldn't be able to see any of that. All those palm trees are little stubs when we put them in. But I bet you if you looked at an area of the same spot today, it would just be kind of a whole covered area of green. We've really jazzed up, put a lot of money into the Orlando course. We built a blacksmith shop and a bakery, which we blow red smells out on the golf course. And just things to make it a little more authentic, like a pirate, a town during the pirate era. And this we are putting in probably in the next month. You get an idea of the size of that ship. It's a huge ship being built up in Jacksonville. Here's the people size. So it's a mammoth ship, and it'll be right out on International Drive to be able to see. We'll have probably a hole or two on it, but it's very authentic. But the success has been a lot because we put money back into all the courses. You know what happened to the windmill courses? They're really gone. And a lot of those, you still see them today, they're pretty beat up and tired. But we keep doing this, and so it's continued to work. Old Orchard Beach, Maine, we built a golf course. And again, things that happen that you don't know about until you open the doors. Old Orchard Beach, Maine in the summer is covered with tourists from Quebec. And they all speak French. And so people are coming in saying, we had all the signs in English, of course. It just didn't click. It's one of those things. So we had to run out and translate all our signs to French. I never knew whether they were right or not until about 2 weeks ago I spoke over at Northwood. And there was a gal from France in one of the classes. And she said, hey, that's the first thing French I've seen here in America. So obviously we did it right. Madeira Beach, Florida was another course. That's over on the west coast. It's just a little southwest of St. Petersburg on the ocean. That's the intercoastal that surrounds us. As you can see, it's a gorgeous piece of land. And it was so gorgeous, the developer came along one day and said, boy, would that be good for condos. So we didn't want to sell it, but we did. We had some, when we first opened it, traffic was coming across the causeway going towards the beach, and they were turning left there, and it became a traffic hazard. So the township built a boulevard. So if they wanted to come to our course from the inland, they had to go all the way out to the beach, turn around, and come back out, and our business just dropped. So this developer of condos was great timing. We made a lot of money on that piece of property. This was just a shot of an incredible dramatic hole. This is in Lake, of course, got in Lake Buena Vista, and that hole is as steep as it looks. And when you touch that ball at the top, you're launching it. And we ended up having to put a big, I'm standing on the green here, big fence behind it, so the balls would come down and it works, fly into the screen and fall back on the green. But that was a cheaper way than trying to rebuild that one. Typical game. This is one out in Iowa. We've got one in Lake Okoboji, and typical summer afternoon. We have one course that is not pirate. It's called Hobo Hills Adventure Golf. It's because we ran into a guy up there that owns a railroad, one of those dinner railroads through the woods, and really a nice thing, and it's called Hobo Railroad. So we said we should probably theme our, we sit out actually in front of this railroad station. So we've got the street view. So we found a company down in Florida that does a lot of design work, and so they helped us design props. Everything is different than the pirate thing. So, and even the signage. If you go to the next sign, Chris, there's a whole language out there, hobo language, and that W means barking dog here. I don't know why, but we went and found all these signs. So each one of our whole signs has a different thing, like kind lady lives here, you can get a free meal here. And the hobos had a whole language, which I never knew about. That course, we made a little goof on. We built our starter house where we thought it was designed and all that, but after a couple of years we found out it actually was 2 feet on the neighbor's property. And the neighbor happened to be the Hobo Railroad guy. So he came over and he said, what are you going to do, you guys? He didn't like us too much. I don't know why, but we had some problems back then. So we said, well, we'll buy that land from you. And he said, okay. So he was asking astronomical amount of money for that. So we got the bright idea. Said, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to put flags in the lawn, like we're going to move it back into our property all the way. And I knew he needed the money. He was having some financial difficulties. So I put flags out the size of this room. Just let him sit there 2 days, and he called me up and he said, I'll tell you what, we'll take your price and we'll sell you that land. He didn't want us to move the building. He wanted the cash. wasn't a dumb idea. This is in Atlanta, Georgia. Actually, it's in Gwinnett County. And you can see that is the whole construction site from the air, all red clay. And our contractor rented a condo down there, and he would go back home at night, and he absolutely destroyed the carpet in the condo. We talked about, well, we better clean that before you move out, but we said it'd be a whole lot cheaper just to tear the carpet out, recarpet it for the owner, and we did. So that's a pretty course. Go to the next one, Chris, if you would. That's the course completed. And oh, go too far. Don't go back to that one.
Oh.
See this? No, go back. The one before this, Chris. Good. This line. The state of Georgia came along, and they said, under the rules of eminent domain, we need that much. This part down here, because I-85 runs down here, and they needed a longer exit ramp, and so they had us. I mean, there was no fight. It was an eminent domain thing they had won. And so we had to sell them that, but we didn't get to argue a lot about the price, and we got a really good price for that. But then we didn't know what to do. But if you go to the next split, here's how we handle it. This is the construction looking back down I-85 when that truck is coming up. That's where the ramp is going to be. And we did cut the course right in two. We lost 9 holes. And if you go to the next one, Chris, that's kind of looking back up the ramp. You can see the top of the street way up in the upper left-hand corner, and that's how we handled that.
Where's that at in Atlanta?
It's on I-85 northeast.
Yeah, we're at I-85 by Norcross or
Hill Road. It's the corner of Hill Road. That's the Hill Road exit. The Gwinnett Mall is right there at that exit. There's a lot of traffic.
Yeah, just like linear.
Just a lot of traffic.
Are all your courses the same? Do they have the same design?
No, there's not one that's the same.
Who designs them?
We've got a couple of builders that have worked for us over the years, and they're honestly the type of guy. The first one we found is a fellow by the name of Tom Merrill out of Myrtle Beach. He had built something similar to this down there, but he literally came up and did it on the back of an envelope. He walked in Traverse City, and we walked around in the middle of March putting flags on the ground. He said, we could do this here, this thing. And the guy had a real vision that he could do it that way. And he built it. And since then, every other course sort of fit the footprint. We did do a lot of the holes similar, because we knew what were popular holes. We've got a hole, if you've been on that, as you putt down, there's a stream running down the side. And if you putt, and the hole's down here, it's a rock work. If you putt here and it goes in the stream, it goes shooting down with the water, disappears. Well, everybody thinks it's going right down to the lake, but we've got a trap in the middle where water goes through the grate. The ball comes out right by the hole. Many times you get a hole in one on that one. So if you know the hole, then you putt for the water. And you'd be amazed at how many times I've seen parents, if I'm on the course, I'll tell the kid if I'm near the hole, putt in the water, putt in the water. Well, Dad will get down there and he'll stand there so the kid can't hit the water thinking the ball's going to end up 40 feet down in the lake. So, and we built that hole on every course because that's really just a fun. They'll look different though, but the concept is the same. The motel we built, we had a course in New Hampshire up in the White Mountains. That's the one on the bottom of the page. That's 18 holes. It's a gorgeous course. And we had the rest of the property on the left. And so we said, what are we going to do with that property? Because we ended up buying a lot of footprint there. And so I got the idea, let's talk to some motel people. It'd be great to have a motel there. That's a built-in audience. So we did. We connected with Choice Hotels, built that hotel, and that's been very successful. And then after a while, we had the property behind the hotel. We said, maybe we could use another 18 holes here. So we built another 18 hole behind it. Now, I designed the 18 behind it, so anybody can design one of these. You walk a couple of them, you get the concept. You say, okay, you just got to squeeze 18 holes back here, and it worked. That's the waterfalls on that North Conway one. Other things that come up, I go back to that sign. A couple years ago, it was so extremely hot in the United States all over. And we were finding our business was dropping off. People would come and play 2-3 holes and just return with their putters and say, oh, this is too hot out here, we're gonna die. So we got an idea, let's put water out there. First we put it out for $1 a bottle, and then you could roll the dice at the end and see if it was free or not. And then we decided, let's put it out there for free. The funny part was, we had it at $1 a bottle, and we might have had 40 bottles out there, we ended up with $50 in, I don't know, we could throw a couple bucks in there. So grateful to get to the 5th hole or the 8th hole or wherever we had these things, and put their money in. But we got even more when we put a sign up, we said just donations to the Women's Center. It'd be $100 in there for 35 bottles of water. We just kept pouring ice in there all day, and that was really a great goodwill gesture. Plus it kept the business, kept people coming. Burger Kings, we bought 9 of them, 2000, we added 7 more stores. I'm very inactive in the Burger King. We've got a great manager that lives down there in Lexington. And Burger Kings, we're doing great down there. It's a good market. Kentucky's a different state. Anybody here from Kentucky? It's a little different. Some of the stories are, we had a robbery of one of our Burger King stores, and our manager called up and he's in hysterics. He said, we just ran the tapes of the robbery last night. One of those robbers was an employee of ours. And I said, what an idiot. So anyway, so they got him and the money got back, and we said, that's really smart. And then another story came up, a couple years ago again, there was something in the national news. A place in Frankfort, Kentucky, where we have a Burger King. Somebody came in and turned in a $2 bill, had a picture of George, a $200 bill, picture of George Bush on it. And the employee took it, and she said, gee, I haven't seen one of these in a while. gave this Burger King and gave change. So I saw that in the paper. I called up Bill. I said, Bill, tell me it wasn't the Burger King. He said, no, but our people are capable of that. In Traverse City, we put in a water slide, very labor intensive, and we put in some bumper boats. Same thing, this is bumper boats out in New Hampshire, but these, we're really spoiled because the business only called to have someone in there handing out putters and taking money, and maybe someone at the return window taking in putters, and your salaries were low, and it was a great combinations. The managers of our courses, we always hired school teachers. School teachers came with health insurance and life insurance and all the perks, and they know every kid in town. So when they hire the counter help in the summer, they're there. They've got the perks, and I'll show you in a minute a picture of a lot of our people, but they turned out to be wonderful managers, and they picked the best kids to work for our golf courses. But when getting into these things, you've got to have a lot of people. And then if you get a grade A, that water slide, nobody's going to go down into our bumper boats. And they got employees. You're going to send them back home, and if you do that for too many days, they're going to go somewhere else. So we really decided along the way we better stick to our knitting and just be golf. The bumper boats, a new set of problems. I put that on there to remind me. We had an extremely heavy lady show up one day, and she wanted to go on a bumper boat. And our employees, we had like 3 kids working bumper boats, and said, no, ma'am, you're probably a little heavy and trying to be polite. How do you say that? And so she said, I can do it, I can do it. So she stepped in the boat, and it went, she went right in that water. Well, now she's standing at the bottom of this. It's not that deep, but there's no ladder. It's not a swimming pool. You can't just go over and walk out. So they had to go get a couple other kids and just kind of almost haul her out of the water. She was embarrassed, but boy, I wish you would have listened to her folks. This is our crew. This is really what makes us successful, I think. We have the best managers and staff. We have an annual meeting every January. We take all our people on either cruise, or last bunch of years we take them down to Cancun. We'll have a half a day of meetings and a lot of days on the beach. These are the folks that are handling a lot of cash for us, and they're out there on their own a lot of the summer, and they do work their butts off in the summer. So we said, let's take good care of them. You'd be amazed how many people, we've still got people from '86 that are managers. And they just stay and stay, which is just wonderful. this is where we went this year in January, like 4 days down in Cancun. And, they're quite a party bunch. There's a Margaritaville bar down there, and we had a ball. That was this year. What we learned. We learned investors. Who are they? And when you're looking, I guess you want to look at yourself and any partners you may have. After that, you want to find friends and family. We did that. We went through, started with ourselves and partners. The next one was with family and friends, and after that, references from family and friends. And then I had to throw angel groups in there. Can't know that. But the important thing was, and I went through that over and over and over again, and I loved it. It was, I probably should have gone to sales because I'd sit in somebody's living room and give them the pitch. But after the first couple of courses, I had the numbers. And that made it real easy. You weren't trying to fool anybody that this golf course can do X. You can say, here's what they do in Cape Cod City. And I got a lot of investors, a lot of Midland owns private schools. Little here, a little there. Interest rates were a tremendous impact over the life of our businesses. As you can see, up in the left-hand corner, interest rates were 21% way back in 1980. And when we were building in 86, we were paying 19%. Interest rates were, prime rate was 17, we were paying 2 over prime. That's for that international course on International Drive in Florida. But I did some of the math on that. Let me see if I got it. The difference. Yeah, the difference between 5% rate and a 19% rate was like $8,900 a month, $106,000 a year. $1 million loan. That's serious bucks for miniature golf. She's didn't think miniature golf was going to crank that kind of money, but we did well. But that's a huge deal. That's 22,000 golfers more to pay the high interest rate. Thing we learned, banking. It's really tough nowadays. I've tried to get a loan lately, but I have talked to my banker. And I feel for anybody trying to be an entrepreneur and go into the bank. You really jump through a lot of hoops. And number 2, personal guarantee is really part of the territory. If you're not willing to sign that personal guarantee, and I always signed them, what's that say to the bank? You don't have enough confidence in what, to sign my note, why should we loan you the money? But make good friends with your banker. When we did Cape Cod, we went out to the Cape Cod Bank and Trust and met a guy by the name of Bob Prawl. And Bob says, I don't think you guys come past from Midland. Never heard of you, won't loan you the money. And we came back to Midland, we knew Dave Furkop. Some of you may have known Dave. He was president of Comerica here in town. He didn't lend us money, and Dave said, we don't loan in Massachusetts. He said, tell you what I'll do though, you guys are good guys. He said, I'll call Bob Prawl. I don't know him, he said, I'll call him. They spent an hour on the phone, and when they got done, they said, we'll take half the loan. They were both comfortable with that. And so we were able to build that course on Cape Cod. And after 2 years, Bob Prawl called up Dave and said, can I buy you out of your half of the loan? Because we were making our bills, paying bills, and doing that sort of thing. Communications, bankers, just said, keep them informed. Good, the bad, the even the ugly. If you're having trouble, don't surprise them. We had a couple times when we were lagging behind or overspent our construction money, and I kept them posted, and we got along just fine. Communicate with your partners, who's doing what in frequent meetings. Investors, keep them informed. That drives me nuts when you invest in something, you don't get a letter. Every 6 months or so, at least during the initial phases. Managers, they know more than you think. Our managers, they know what's going on. Make good friends with neighboring businesses. They'll help you. Local officials too. I mean, don't go in and burn any bridges and get upset. They might sound bad, but be sincere and they'll take care of you. And business partners. This is huge. Biggest message of the day. Partnerships are like a marriage, and work on that relationship. I have a partner. We are night and day personality. We don't always get along, but I'll tell you at the end of the day, I say, I'm gonna be with that guy for a lot of years, and we keep talking, and it's worked, it really worked. He had skills I did. When it came to going out and buying land, about build one of these things, he went. I'd be pushover. A guy would tell me I want $500,000 for that little piece of dirt, and I'd say, oh great. And my partner Ed would say, God, it's only worth $3 million. So that was the talent that he had. And that's kind of the end. But I ran really long than I thought. But anyway, anybody got any questions? That's how we did it.
I love your pirate. That's the best pirate I've ever seen. Where did you get that likeness?
A guy by the name of Tim Nielsen in Traverse City built that, or made that. He also came up with the word adventure golf. We went to see him. He had a little ad agency called Farrell Nielsen, and we said we need to call something other than putt putter miniature golf. And he came back the next day. He said, "How about adventure golf?" And that word is caught on. There's adventure golfs all over the country now. It's like Kleenex is the tissue. It's generic. But he's a great pirate, isn't he?
He's fantastic. I've just never seen a better pirate.
Did you ever see the Burger King? Now that is a creepy guy.
Yeah.
They finally got rid of him this year. And I used to ask our manager, why do they have that? He creeps people out. I mean,
He's
it's
chasing
terrible.
the kids around.
What was the origin of the original concept? I mean, this seems to be a huge leap of faith. You went up to Traverse City and bought land at least across the street from the most expensive land in town,
Yep.
and build a seasonal business, you know, something that's going to have a cash flow 4 months of the year. That was a leap of faith. What was that based on?
Well, we had seen both Ed and I had seen at different times something similar to this, an elaborate golf course down in Myrtle Beach. But that's a long market. And Ed and I had kids go to PB football together, and we used to sit in PB football games and talk about it. He was a packaging guy for Dow Chemical. And so we'd sit there and talk about this. What can we do? Somehow we got on that. I don't remember. It's not like you read every now and then Joe started this business with only $1.92 in his pocket. I mean, who says, oh, we got $1.92, let's start a business? I mean, that's always bug to me. But anyway, so we, over a period of months or so, we said, why don't we try something? Why wouldn't that work in Traverse City? And then we started doing numbers.
Right.
And we called the highway department. How many cars go by there in July and August? And we counted campsites, we counted motel rooms, we counted, you name it.
I guess that's what I'm getting at. You had
Yeah.
to build your own model
We did.
because there was nothing
We
to
did.
refer to.
And we kept breaking it down and said if there's 30,000 cars go by this spot every day in the summer, and only 2% of them turn in here, and there's 3 people in the car, and they pay us $5, and we get rained out. So I built all kinds of models back then. And the interesting thing was that was before spreadsheets. Spreadsheets started about 85 or 86. And I did everything by hand. That's my old accounting training. And anybody did that, you remember spreadsheets were all erasures. I mean, when you erase one number, how it affected the other columns. That worked hard at that.
All the investors that you brought on, are they still owners of the company, or did you provide them with an exit at some point, or?
That's the biggest challenge I've got right now. I have no exit strategy. We're trying to buy them out. My partner's his wife. And not only that, then I wanted to roll these up into one. And either sell it all or run it as one company. And my partner doesn't want to do that. I think that's the proper thing to do. Plus, it gives a good buy-sell for all these people. They're getting old. They're my age, and some are older. But as they die, Harry might have 100 shares of one course, and he leaves it to 5 kids. Now we got 20 shares apiece, and they don't know us, they don't trust us, and it's fraught with problems. And so we haven't made that hurdle yet. And I'm still working on it. It's a good question, though, but I don't know the answer.
Do you pay dividends?
Every course pays dividends every year. And when I was talking about buying people out, I went out and called on some of them, and they said, I don't want to be bought. I said, why not? I said, because if I put my money in the bank, they would give me all of 1/4%. We all know. I mean, why would you do that? So they don't want to be bought out. So that's That's the problem.
So in fourth grade, you didn't walk around saying you wanted to be the miniature golf king?
I knew, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I ended up a bean counter because my dad was a CPA. And I joined the Navy after high school because I had not much ambition. And during that Navy period, I started thinking, you know, there's really got to be something else to swapping decks, painting ships. So I came back and went to school.
You mentioned that they're all separate companies. Is this a franchise concept? Is this the same as franchise and different? Why is it different, franchise?
Well, because we still own all of them.
Okay.
And so each time we'd own one, we'd change the name. We'd say it's Pirates Cove North Conway, or it's Pirates Cove Bar Harbor, Maine.
So franchise, each of the franchisees owns their own store. They're all separate companies, but each franchisee owns it. In this case, it's a lot of different entities, but you own them all.
Yeah.
I see.
We talked about franchising. I won't do it now, not my age, but we have a lot of people over the years have called us, since this is a franchise, I'd like to build one here and do that, but we didn't want to bother with that.
Yeah, that seems like that would really go too.
I think it would.
Cookie cutter,
I
take
think,
the
yeah.
concept somewhere.
I think it would have.
Would you have to unify all the companies and able to franchise it though?
We could. I mean, we never got that far. We could do that, but we like what we've got. We've got 26 golf courses, 26 companies. It's a pain. Yesterday I signed tax returns for 26 businesses. Because each state we have to file in. They're all S corporations. So people are paying based on their share of that corporation.
What amazes me is at the beginning of the lecture, I got to speak with her for just a minute. I said, did you see the movie Overboard with Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell? Never saw the movie. It was about Kurt and Goldie putting together their own miniature golf course. The themes, they had the Eiffel Tower and the pyramids of Giza.
I'm going to have to go find that movie.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Sid.
Hey,